Will you pray with me? O Lord, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Ever since I was a child, I have wondered about this story about Martha and Mary. My father told me the story when I was probably less than 10 because I asked him about a prayer that was taped to the kitchen cabinet just above the sink in our kitchen, where it could plainly be seen while washing dishes. It was entitled, "A Prayer for Marthas." Of course, since my name was Martha, I wondered if somehow this prayer was supposed to be for me. I didn't understand why it was there and who it was meant for. He tried his best to explain the Bible story to me and told me that he had taped the prayer there for my mother to help her and to remind her of what she was really doing when she spent long hours in the kitchen preparing meals and washing up dishes for the endless stream of visitors, many from foreign lands, who were offered hospitality in our home. So what is this story really about? Who are Mary and Martha? We read about them in the Gospels of Luke and of John, though the stories recorded are different. Martha and Mary are the sisters of Lazarus, the Lazarus who Jesus raises from the dead. Martha and Mary seem to have different temperaments. Martha always seems to be busy, active, and in charge. In the gospel story today, she has offered hospitality to Jesus and the disciples. She is busy in the kitchen and actively goes and speaks to Jesus to complain about Mary. Similarly, in the Gospel of John, Martha rushes out to meet Jesus and seems at first to complain that had Jesus been there sooner, perhaps Lazarus would have been all right. What about Mary? She seems to be quiet, more passive. In today's lesson, she is seated at the feet of Jesus, listening. And John acknowledges her as the silent Mary who anoints Jesus and wipes his feet with her hair. We seem to have Martha the extrovert and Mary the introvert, the social and outgoing Martha and the reflective and quiet Mary. It seems that Jesus knew Lazarus, Martha, and Mary quite well. They may have offered him hospitality on any number of occasions, and they may have supported his ministry. We also know that Jesus was very grieved in learning that Lazarus died. Something that Mary and Martha do not know when Jesus comes to visit on this occasion of our lesson today is that Jesus is on his way to the cross. This may be the last time they will have the opportunity to see him and to offer him hospitality. Martha, in what appears to be her typical fashion, has welcomed Jesus and headed off to the kitchen to prepare a feast. Animals to slaughter and prepare, flour to be turned into bread, and I am sure many special dishes to be prepared with a variety of fruits and vegetables. Busy, busy, busy. And while Martha works in the hot kitchen, Mary sits in the shade of the courtyard tree and listens to Jesus. She relaxes there and enjoys fellowship with Jesus and the disciples and perhaps a cool drink and some grapes and dates and figs to munch on. From time to time, Martha leaves the kitchen and comes into the courtyard bringing fresh pitchers of cool wine and platters of fruit. And each time that she comes into the courtyard, I can imagine that she glances at Mary sitting there by Jesus's feet. She tries to catch Mary's eye and give her a scolding look. You know, a nod beckoning her into the kitchen to help. But Mary doesn't budge. She continues to listen intently to all that Jesus is saying. Finally, I can imagine Martha, now looking a bit frazzled with all the preparations and with the beads of sweat from the hot kitchen moistening her face and hairline, bringing in one more platter and this time saying, "Excuse me, Jesus, but Mary should be in the kitchen. Tell her to get up and come and help to prepare this feast. And besides, she doesn't belong here with the men anyway." Martha is indignant and feeling a bit self-righteous about all of her service to the Lord. She is sure that Jesus will support her. Imagine how stunned she must be when he replies, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." If I had been Martha, I think I would have stormed back into the kitchen and thrown down my apron and dish towel and then headed out the back door for a cooling off walk while muttering something under my breath about letting them fix their own food. We don't know what Martha actually did, but we are left to wonder what Jesus was saying. Why would he have supported Mary? Why did he not acknowledge the hard work of Martha? And what does he mean by saying that Martha is worried and distracted? And what does it mean that there is need of only one thing and that Mary has chosen the better part? What has Mary chosen? Mary has chosen to sit at the feet of Jesus, listening and attentive. She has chosen fellowship with the Lord, service. Is this what Jesus wants us to do? Just sit around and listen? Or is this a women's liberation message? After all, it is true that what Mary has chosen to do is to violate all the expected roles for women. Their place was in the kitchen serving. So is Jesus supporting a new role for women and a new place at the table for all minorities? Is that what Jesus is saying? Or maybe it is a story about overthrowing tradition, doing things a new way. Yes, Jesus did teach and support women and minorities. And yes, Jesus did overthrow many traditions. But I'm not sure this is the message in the story. What does he mean by saying that only one thing is needed? Is he saying that Martha should only prepare one simple thing to eat and then get out of the kitchen too? Or maybe the one thing that is needed is the same as the better part. Maybe it is this better part, this one important thing that Martha has become distracted from, that Mary is giving her full attention to. Mary is totally focused on Jesus. Mary is not distracted and is not drawn away from Jesus. Perhaps his message to Martha is not that her serving is unimportant, but perhaps she has become distracted from why she is doing it, from the central issue. Martha has perhaps taken her eyes and her focus and her attention off of Jesus. Jesus is the better part. And Jesus is the one and the only thing that is necessary.